How do you feel about looking like you, but just a little bit better? The best version of yourself. No knives involved, just a few tweaks.
These things can become normalised because they're gentle tweaks rather than changes, and I think that's the key here, is that when something is just a tweak on what's already there, it's sort of a positive step.
A positive step. The rise of what are called non-invasive treatments and the increasing number of millennials opting for the injections. We hear from Botox partygoers in Los Angeles.
I think you're gonna like it. Yeah, that one smarts a little bit.
Yeah, it's worth it, it's okay.
Botox, not only does it paralyze the muscle groups, but it actually improves the tone of the skin. So the tone of the skin will actually look better after the Botox is done.
The global cosmetic surgery industry is expected to surpass $40 billion in the next 5 years. A decade ago, breast surgery and nose jobs were at the top of the cosmetic surgery shopping list. Now, it's all about what many in the industry like to say are tweakments. Injecting Botox into the face to iron out wrinkles, fillers to plump up cheeks and sharpen jawlines, microdermabrasion to vacuum up dead skin cells, lasers to get rid of acne. The list goes on. And the main driver of this shift? Social media and selfies. That's according to the American Academy of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery. Just last week, Instagram banned cosmetic surgery filters. Research suggests they make people feel worse, not better about themselves, chasing an unrealistic image that's completely unattainable. But how much is social media to blame? Does the cosmetic surgery industry itself need to do more? We'll find out in a moment, but first to Los Angeles, where our reporter Reagan Morris went along to a Botox party in celebration of Halloween.
Hi! Happy Halloween!
I think you're gonna like it.
Tanya is 48, and she allowed me to come and watch her get Botox.
Okay. Done.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one smarts a little bit.
Yeah. It's worth it, it's okay.
Botox, unbeknownst to a lot of people, it not only does it paralyze the muscle groups, but it actually improves the tone of the skin. So the tone of the skin will actually look better after the Botox is done, which is largely why your results look so good after your treatment kicks in. Doing okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. It just
Okay.
hurts. I'm really sensitive, though, I told you.
It's okay. They're gonna switch needles on her.
That was a lot of tiny injections
Yes,
in the forehead.
a bunch of super tiny injections. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you end up having skip areas. So you'll have
Yeah.
areas where you have movement, and other areas that are completely flat. You see that on TV a lot, and you know.
I do see that. I'll see like, oh, she got Botox.
You want it to be a secret, right?
Yeah.
If everyone's doing it, though, why is it a secret?
That's the thing. For me, it's ridiculous because you see these people that have, especially celebrities that have had procedures done, obviously, and they're totally hush-hush about it, and everybody knows. I mean, you don't have to be an expert to know that someone has had work done on their face. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Done. Let me, wipe
Piece
you
of
down.
cake.
That was like 60 tiny injections, do you think? I don't know about that.
About that, yeah.
Back to LA and the Botox party in a moment. But first, Business Daily's Sarah Trenor is here. Sarah, you went along to a big annual get-together of people from the cosmetics industry in London called CCR. Give us an idea of what things are on offer these days.
It was really interesting because I had no idea what to expect before I walked into this big aircraft hangar-sized conference hall. And there was a lot of really high-tech stuff, a lot of big machinery, robots with touch screens on top, a lot of things to do with lasers, things that have come very much from medicine but are now being used with a cosmetic application. but there were also live demo areas where people were getting Botox and a woman was about to have her lips reshaped in front of an audience.
So when you were walking around the event, talking to different industry types, is there any recognition of the issues around social media and cosmetic surgery?
I spoke to Francesca White, who's the health and beauty editor of a magazine called Tatler, which is an expensive upmarket glossy magazine, and she produces an annual cosmetic surgery guide for her readers. And I asked her whether she felt that there were any issues around people looking at themselves through a filter on their phones and wanting to recreate that.
It's a difficult one. I think you're right, social media has driven this huge trend for airbrushing and filtering, and with one swipe or a touch of an iPhone screen, we can suddenly become the version of ourselves that we want to be. So many pharma companies and so many technology providers are launching products that are all about getting selfie-ready skin. It's difficult. You can see both sides of the coin here. I think the danger when we start to think of these things as everyday commodities is that we start to take them for granted. We start to try and squish them into a quick lunch break, and we forget that these are very medical grade treatments and they need to be done with a sense of responsibility.
Kate Zada was showing me around the event. She's had a PR firm for the industry for nearly 2 decades. I asked her whether things had moved away from the traditional idea of cosmetic surgery, of people going under the knife, a surgical procedure, to much smaller non-invasive treatments, and whether that plethora of products available had led to it becoming routine for some people.
In some ways, things are normalised because they're gentle tweaks rather than changes. And I think that's the key here, is that when something is just a tweak on what's already there, it's sort of a positive step.
That's interesting you were saying about tweaks, because there's a bit of a kind of homogenization of the face. That there's an idea of a filter face. You know, you want the face that you see through an Instagram filter, and that's
It's
sort of
very problematic.
It's the quality of smoothness. It's the features which have been tweaked to be a certain way,
A certain look.
and it's actually it's not something that is very individual.
Yeah, not at all. And you're right, it's definitely something that we need to, as an industry, be aware of, because there is this copycat scenario, there is this issue with everybody wants to look like a particular model or a particular person, and I believe it's really an educational job that we have to do as an industry, that you are wonderful the way you are. Really good practitioners in the business will frown upon treating somebody who kind of shows you a picture and says, I want to look like this. And there is definitely an issue with young people wanting to be like a filter, and I think a lot of practitioners now are doing a lot more work on the sort of psychology side of things when they do a consultation. We're all very aware of what's happening in the world.
So after spending the day in the world of cosmetic surgery, how did it make you feel? Were you tempted?
A little bit, because everyone in the industry is so enthusiastic about what they're doing, and I became really aware that my forehead was moving quite a lot more than anyone else's, and I seemed a lot more expressive facially than anyone else, and I kind of became conscious of a little wrinkle above my left eyebrow, which I hadn't really thought about before. Because I don't use filters and social media in that way, and because I don't know a lot of people who go in for these kind of treatments, it's not normal for me, but clearly it is for a lot of other people, and it's really easy to see how it could become just an add-on to a beauty treatment if it was offered.
But one place where cosmetic surgery is almost as normal as getting your nails done is Los Angeles. Let's go back to our reporter Reagan Morris at the Botox party.
Pricing for Botox is $16 per unit with Dr. Vicios or $14 per unit with our nurse, Anna. But we're running a special for $10 a unit. And people average between 30 to 50 units.
Oh, wow.
So that's about $300 to $500 for the special today.
And how long does that last?
Depending on your metabolism, anywhere from 3 to 5 months.
My name is Glenn Vallecios. I'm a board-certified plastic surgeon out of Beverly Hills, California.
And is Botox your I know this is the Botox party. It's a promotional event, but is this the most popular treatment?
In terms of injectables, I would say yes. And then the next would be, following closely behind would be fillers, but fillers is a little bit more variable because people can come in and get their lips enhanced, for example, their cheeks, their jawline. But as a first line, like minimally invasive treatment, I think Botox is number one in our office, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to number one in the United States as well.
Jackie works at the spa. She's in her 30s and gets Botox and fillers in her nose and lips. She says their customers are getting younger because they want to look like the stars they follow on social media. So, Jackie, do you see young people, teenagers? I was surprised to hear teenagers want this done. Do you have them coming in?
We do. We usually don't inject on someone that's younger than 18 here, but there are places that do. I would say LA is a more probably popular place where you see younger kids getting injected, 18 or younger, where I think a couple years ago you wouldn't see that so much, but now with the whole kind of fad going on of people wanting the Kylie Jenner lips, and they either are talking about, on Instagram and these social platforms getting filler and Botox, or it's honestly with social media, I think really has been a big turning curve where we live, seeing the age of people coming in getting younger and younger.
Although people here say everyone they know gets Botox, no one really wants to talk about it, at least not publicly. Most everyone I interviewed didn't want their full name used.
But only my first name.
Okay. What's your first name?
Shayna.
Shayna.
Yeah.
And you look so young. May I ask how old you are?
I'm 42.
And when did you start doing this?
I was about 35, and I love it. A little fresh.
What do you love? You feel different, or how often do you do it, and what do you love about it?
What I love about it is I feel like it shaves a good 5 to 7 off. I'm very expressive. I've got a large forehead, so I don't know. It's just kind of easy and painless with no downtime.
It's painless?
Yeah, it's just a little tinge, and voila, you're good.
Do your friends and family notice when you come home?
I've never had anyone say, "Oh, you got Botox," but yeah, people start to notice because obviously, it's not an overnight thing. It kind of little by little, day to day, it continues. So by usually like the first week, my husband or someone would be like, "God, you look really well rested," or.
Do you tell them?
Yeah, I'm pretty open about it. Yeah.
I've met a lot of people here today, and I found much younger people willing to talk to me about it, that like really young people that are doing it.
Yes.
And women in their 50s, 60s, 70s are like, no way.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk about it. It strikes me there's a difference in generations and how they view it.
For sure. I mean, I think that these girls now in their 20s have grown up around it, probably with their moms and everything doing it, and they feel like it's preventative. So I think we got started a little bit later, and then, like my mom's generation, certainly most of them got started much later.
A lot of your friends and family do this?
All of them, pretty much. I mean, I don't have many friends that have never had Botox.
Wow.
But I mean, we're in LA at 40.
And patients are getting younger. Botox is now the number one choice over any other procedure, and more millennials are flocking to get injected than ever before. In the US, in the last 5 years, the number of 19 to 34-year-olds getting Botox increased by nearly 90%. That's according to the American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. And surgeons are in no denial that the Instagram culture is influencing younger and younger patients. Matt Van Dusen wrote his doctorate on the impact of social media on our identity at Alliant International University in San Diego. He says our identities are being defined by social media more than ever before.
We're captivated by these individuals that have had a tremendous amount of plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery completed, and somehow that relates back to my own identity, what I'm worth, what I aspire for, and it has a tremendous amount of influence. So these filters then bring it full circle back to me in an intimate way, where I'm taking pictures of my own face and my own body through the lens of this is significant part of my society, my daily intake of social media. And this is how it relates to me, where it feels practical, it feels typical and normal to view myself in that way.
But haven't we always been subjected to glamorous images? You know, if you're older than 30, you grew up with magazines and the television. Isn't social media and the internet just an extension of that?
You know, it is, but it lends itself to a level of intimacy that we have not faced before. There's an objectivity to looking at a magazine where social media is personal, and it's building this relationship of, I feel like I know this person, I could potentially reach them directly. So the level of intimacy allows for influence like never before.
Okay, so Instagram has banned these filters. Is it going to stop this effect on young people?
Is it going to stop it? No, but it's whether we endorse it or do we start recognizing what is too far, what is too much. And the influence on the development of identity is resulting in a tremendous amount of anxiety and insecurity, almost a desperation in our identity, and is setting us up for a sense of failure that can really result in a resounding increase in anxiety and depression. There's research to support that when we compare ourselves to others, we don't compare ourselves to our neighbor. We compare ourselves to outliers, the best, the brightest, the most beautiful. And social media has allowed this construction of where beauty isn't even natural. It's beyond natural. It's advanced with these filters where it's an idealized sense of beauty or worth that is not attainable by most. So you've got this platform that has kind of this dopamine drip of indulgence where you go on social media and it's satisfying to click on these kind of posts that really garner a reaction from you. It really sets us up for failure.
One thing for sure is that cosmetic surgery treatments, or tweakments, are more accessible than ever before.